So for me, like it's like your food should be about fuel, not flavor. Like we're consuming fuel, and that fuel is our food. So the bananas, the malme, the papaya, like it's a coincidence if it tastes good. But so many people are like, oh, it doesn't. I just eat what tastes good. And then here's the thing: if you want something to open your eyes and to be like, boom, these graphics are done by the Food Babe, and some of them are a couple years old, but this is a difference in ingredients between America and the rest of the world. And if you want to know like two ways of why the United States is trying to kill the population, it's what they're doing to our infants and our pregnant mothers. And the other one is the ingredients that they're putting in food that's specifically manufactured and marketed to kids, like Cheetos. So you can see like these are the ingredients in Australia. There's minimal amounts of ingredients, and they're using stuff like onion powders and garlic powders and just some like powders to make the colors. And then in America, they're using artificial color, dye number 40, yellow 6, like all these dyes. And these are petroleum chemical based dyes. And you can turn on and off ADHD in kids with these red dyes, especially that red dye number 40. It just inflames the brain immediately. Just this week and last week, they tend to say they're going to do it, but until they actually do it, yeah. So I'm going to go through some of these, but just look at the difference in the ingredients here. And as you can see, I mean, these are the foods that they target to the kids, like the mac and cheese. Look how many ingredients are in mac and cheese compared to Great Britain and the European Union, where they ban that stuff. And they're using paprika extract instead of all these colors. And baby shark cereals with the yellow 6, the yellow 5, the blue ones, the BHTs, the corn syrups, the oatmeals. In the middle of the pandemic, they're coming out with waffles for kids that have every poison on the planet. And when the Food Babe and when RFK Jr. Took this stuff, they were using Fruit Loops as one of their main things, and they were holding up the bag of like European Fruit Loops, and it's very dull because they're using like beet juice for red. And then America uses red dye number 40, and it's like glowing. And then with the French fries, it's just solid, oils and everything. I mean, the ingredients are just through the roof. The Skittles are different, like every single manufacturer. So it's not, they're manufacturing a different product to purposely poison America just because they know that, like we were saying with the fruits, why we're programmed to eat fruits, the same thing they use with the Skittles. So they know the shinier that red dye is, the more apt that kid's going to want it, and because they are attracted to the yellows and the reds, so they try to make it as shiny as possible. I had a friend who was a sommelier. So she went to school to be a chemist to work in wine. And she told me that they put metal in Sprite and other beverages, but like Sprite, they put metal. So if you stir it, it'll have a shimmer to it because people will drink it for that shimmer. But how many times do you open a can of like Sprite and just drink it or look through it through the plastic? How many times you're putting it in the glass and looking for the shimmer? But they still put heavy metals into the products to give them a little sparkle because they know humans like a little sparkle in their beverage. And Twix and Kit Kats and Doritos and all the Cadbury eggs and the Pop-Tarts, all of it. It's just nonstop. So you got to stop eating toxic cereal. And the same thing with like Gatorade. Gatorade used to be like sugar, a little sodium water because you burned sugar, and now it's just high fructose corn syrup and maltodextrin and citric acid. So there you go. Gatorade used to be sugar, salt, potassium, and lemon juice, and now it's all these poisons. And they're promoting it for athletes, and then the athletes are promoting it. The pro athletes are promoting these poisons to all the high school kids and the elementary school kids and all these people drinking Gatorade. So the question is, why is it not okay to poison the children in Europe, but it is okay to poison the children in the USA? This is what, the Food Babe and RFK Jr. are proposing, but the food industry just keeps poisoning them. And the main thing that they're doing, the number one vitamin recommended for kids is the Flintstones vitamins, and they're full of they say natural flavors, but natural flavors just means chemicals. And instead of like when we were talking about B12 meaning to be methylcobalamin, the B12 and the Flintstone vitamins, it's all the cheap stuff, cyanocobalamin, which is like a cyanide. So they're getting the kids early hooked on milk, and then they get their parents to poison them with the vitamins even. And then the kids get earaches and runny noses and go to the doctors. You got to stay away from Diet Coke. So you guys know all of these, but I'll just flip through them. They're all in there, and so many people are replacing their Diet Coke. So my dad says I don't drink Diet Coke, I drink Crystal Light. The exact same ingredients, just in a packet. So you're still getting the caffeine, the aspartame, the artificial sweeteners, the GMOs, the black molds, the MSGs, the soy, the red dye. It's all in these Crystal Light packets. People think it's just creating tasty water, but it's not. I would avoid stevia. It's just not worth it. So there's low quality stevia. Even if it's pure quality stevia, it still has an element of like tricking the brain into thinking that this is something sweet that it's got to take care of. And now you're like sending out receptors. So I would avoid stevia. You can use it in transition if you need to transition out of something and into something, but it's not worth like putting stevia in your lemonade or in your lemon water, or putting stevia in your tea or anything. So yeah, I really would like emergency, avoid it. It's still MSG and corn and black mold and synthetic chemicals, and Lipton iced teas are all bad. Like, this is what I did when I decided I was going to be healthy, and I went on a road trip to Phoenix. Like, I'm going to stop drinking Diet Coke, and I'm going to start drinking. I stopped drinking Diet Coke, and I started drinking Diet Lipton iced tea with all the aspartame and everything. And within days, I couldn't function. And this is like my dad's crutches. He stopped drinking like milk by the gallon. So he doesn't put it on cereal or drink, milk. He has almond milk, but he still puts this half and half dairy in his coffee every single day. Exactly what you just said. If they come to your home and you don't have this, they're like flabbergasted that you don't have half dairy and half high fructose corn syrup. They love their, I love coffee, can't go. If you love it so much, then why do you have to fill it with sugar and like dairy to mask the taste? So now they have the caffeine, the dairy, the soy, the canola. This has 10 out of the 15 products listed to avoid putting in your body. And then coffee is as well. And then people get these little Keurig cups, and they're full of plastic. The tops of those cups are metal. The machines are all full of mold. It's not worth it. And then one of the other things that's killing people, like literally killing people, is Boost and Ensure and all of like the Walmart variations. So my next door neighbor, they said, oh, you have cancer. And then the doctors try to put them on Boost or Ensure. And these are full of dairy and whey and soy, canola, corn, artificial colorings, caffeine, sugars, MSG, artificial sweeteners, and salt. There's not one beneficial thing in Boost and Ensure. It just makes sure that when they gave you the diagnosis, usually if somebody has, Taryn, I'll call you in a doc. Usually if somebody gets diagnosed with cancer, they're pretty healthy at the point that they get diagnosed. They're not like, they're living their lives, and they get this tragic news. Then they tell you, oh, you got to get on Boost and Ensure. And then you slowly see their health degrade because of the treatment, the pharmaceutical drugs, and all the bad nutrition advice that they're getting. Taryn? And this is one of their go-tos in the hospitals, Boost Ensure or some generic version of it. And then McDonald's French fries. If you look at the recipe for McDonald's French fries, the salt this is copy and pasted off the website. The salt has 1, 2, 3, 4 ingredients, and one of them is aluminum. It's an aluminum-based product. So the salt that they put, let alone everything else, the salt has heavy metals. So you're getting heavy metal poisoning from your French fries. Not to mention that the potatoes that they use, they want these like long potatoes and they all have to be perfect and they can't have a black spot. They just use massive amounts of pesticides and fertilizers to get the potatoes exactly how McDonald's wants them. And then allegedly, they say they have to off-gas them and they have to put them in buildings because you can't even be around them because they're so poisonous. And that's just the potato before they add the canola, corn, and soy and hydrogenated soybean, natural beef flavor, wheat, milk, dextrose, all that stuff in those French fries. And then we wonder why the kids are not feeling well. And I probably already told this story, but I was playing pickleball and we play 3 times a week. And my partner couldn't get the ball over the net, couldn't hit the line. It was all over the place. And I said, "What'd you eat at McDonald's yesterday?" And he laughed at me and he walked over. He's like, "Why?" I said, "You can't hit the ball like you normally do." He goes, "Well, I had to go to town last night and I stopped at Burger King." I'm like, no difference. But it was completely obvious to me that all his coordination was off from eating that stuff. And with myself, I play a cornhole in a cornhole tournament on Fridays in the summertime. And if I'm eating all my own food, I can go play that cornhole tournament and place. Like I placed first once, but I'm in the top 5 out of 20 every time. And the days that hit 4th of July, my parents' 50th anniversary and Labor Day weekend. So I was just like, oh, it's a celebration. I'll eat off the buffet, even though I'm eating healthy off the buffet that they have for celebrating, which I don't do very often. I go out there, I literally can't hit the board. Like my coordination is so off from eating public, like restaurant food. It's immediate, the amount of poison in there. And then there's your bread. So I think this is one of a very cool quote that I heard someone say. But my grocery store, this sounds like something Shannon would say. My grocery store's produce manager is more important to my children's health than their pediatrician. Yeah. Speaking of, we're blessed to have Phil Nicocesis with us today. Phil, thank you for being here. Phil provided us the piano and your guys' footstools. Phil, thank you for the footstools. And Phil has, how old's Pia now? 2? Has a 2-year-old daughter. So if I told you how Phil and I were sitting in this living room and there's just 2 dudes going over breast milk and banana milk, that was Phil. And then the babysitter walked in and it was like, what? And so I just, a lot of people know and don't know, but I think that high fructose corn syrup is a poison, is in everything. But this is the red dye number 40. It causes hyperactivity in children, can disrupt their immune system. So anybody that has grandkids, kids, it's incredibly important that they're not on this stuff or eating, Halloween candy. These unicorn waffles literally were launched by Kellogg's in like 2021, 2022 during the pandemic. So they come out with stuff that's got, all the red dyes and just toxic sludge. And they're yelling at us, making fun of us for not doing all this stuff, but these corporations are just poisoning people constantly. It's sucralose, and the main thing is natural flavors like aspartame that we were talking about. But natural flavors, just because it has the word natural flavor on there, that does not mean it's like they fresh squeezed a lemon. It's still chemicals that have MSG, and you need to avoid it even if it says natural flavors. Well, first of all, the first 3 ingredients are egg whites. So they brag that it only has 4 ingredients, but one of them's egg whites and the other, and then you look at the back of the wrapper and it has natural flavors. It's kind of like the same way that they can take plants and turn them into oil and then turn that into plastic. They're kind of just turning it into more of like a plastic food component that can last forever and it's not going to rot. And they take like the corn and then there's like a process where they almost attach it to like a little piece of metal that keeps it suspended. And then it's more like a fuel. It's like more of like a gasoline fuel, like you can burn it type fuel than it is a natural sugar to any capacity. So it's just the processing.
So aside from any, what is it that I've been doing it? Is there some benefit? Does it last longer?
It's just if you take corn and set it, you take corn, process it, put it in bread, and set it out. It's gonna be rotten in 3 days. If you turn it into something that no longer a food, so a bacteria or a mold or a fungi doesn't want to consume it, then it can set on the shelves for years. So it's really about stability, profits. Yeah, like 1% of the corn grown is for consumption. There's a small percent that goes to animals, and the others all industrial. So this graphic right here, stop poisoning the children with Halloween candy, I made on my computer, like on Canva. Put my little Instagram thing on there, posted that on Instagram, and then I posted, these are like Food Babe graphics, and then I posted these Food Babe graphics. This is on the night before Halloween. And then I woke up the next day and I was no longer had an Instagram account.
Oh my God.
So I posted Halloween thing, and they shut down my Instagram account. And I had to go through hoops and loops and everything. I got it back up if I challenged, but still it was gone the next morning.
It was a razor blade.
Yeah, this kills me. And this is just something I thought of and wrote down one day. The Halloween tradition teaches children not to eat apples because there might be poison or razor blades in them, but it's okay and even encouraged for them to eat candy that is intentionally manufactured with poisons as the main ingredient. Yeah, so I mean, the BHT, the red dyes and everything, it's not like, oh, check your candy bar, see there's poison in it. But an apple, like a parent would have had a conniption fit if you handed them an apple. So I go to my brother's in Phoenix for Halloween. It's a tradition, and it's the weirdest time of the year because all we do is go to these candy events, and I'll push like the 2-year-old, and I won't push him to the door, and my brother will stay back. He doesn't care, but his wife will take the 4-year-old to the door, and every time she rings that doorbell and trick or treats, I see her pointing. And she'll say, can I get one for the 2-year-old as well? And then she takes it because she wants the candy. Like she's a drug addict to the candy. So she wants to make sure that the kids get it. And then she, like any addict, like they don't want to smoke alone or do drugs alone. So she then comes home, dumps the candy out and like has the kids sort it. And like they're into it, not because they even want to taste the candy or eat the candy. Like I've never watched those kids. I watched those kids for 9 days straight. They've never asked me for a cookie, a candy, a cupcake, anything. They only want fruit. But when mom wants the chocolate and like glorifies it, they'll glorify it just because they're trying to like please mom. And then she eats like a bag of candy while I'm there. It's relentless. And my brother and her, they're always sick the whole Halloween week. And that's just kind of, the conventional world that I fly and visit my family. I got another Halloween tip for you. So Phil and I's mutual friend Walter wanted to become famous one day. So he paid me to start a podcast for him, and we just called it the Riley Report. I got it really nice. I guest hosted on it. When I guest hosted the podcast, Phil was my guest that I had. And the podcast went out to people that subscribe. So there's only like 55 people on there, but they're very influential people. And Walter like pounds it out. And this is during the middle of the pandemic. So I would be on the guest sometimes, and we talk about health and nutrition and the vax and everything. And then Walter, out of nowhere, schedules. We go from me and Phil as the guests. Big deals, but you know us, to Del Bigtree. Do you know who Del Bigtree is?
Yeah.
He's one of the like main freedom fighters during the pandemic, and Walter gets an interview with him for the podcast. We did a Zoom. It's a Zoom, and Del's in his full studio, which I thought was pretty incredible. And then Walter kind of got nervous, but it was a great interview. But the point of me telling you that is I brought up the fact that we were just coming into Halloween. And so for all the freedom fighters out there and all the nutrition people and all of us, people that are promoting a healthy diet and we want to reach people to teach people, there's no better day than Halloween because all of these conventional people are coming to your door and asking you to hand them something. So instead of handing them candy, you can hand them like something, healthy. I don't know, some little, whatever you think of. Little banana. And then you can attach a card to it and say, quit poisoning your kids with Halloween candy. Look at all the poison that's in it. Here's a reference back. And and what are they going to do? They're standing at your door asking you for something. And that's a little something I brought up on the Dell. But let me tell you how this podcast stopped. Walter was doing the podcast, and then this guy who owns a company, he owns 2 big companies, 700 employees, told Walter, listen, I'm sick of listening to you, Walter. Tom's a lot better. I'm going to pay Tom to host the podcast. And we did 4 shows. I did 5 shows. So I did 5 shows over the course of a month. Everybody loved it. This guy comes on like a show number 2 and tells everybody, like during our live show, that he had 700 employees, and during the pandemic, he did not require the vaccine and did not have a mask policy or change his business. And he said, and the reason why was because Walter and I's podcast and the information that we were willing to share with him educated him that it was better for his employees' health to not wear the mask, take the vaccine, or do any of the mandated stuff, which I thought was pretty cool. Until I finished that contract, and then I did one more show. And instead of talking about like the vaccine and all like the traditional conspiracy theories that were going on, I did human trafficking, and the dude hated it and canceled my contract. So he would only go. So people have this like place where they can only go so far. Like, oh, you can talk about this, but don't talk about human trafficking, and wham, bam, I was done. No longer podcasting. But here's those waffles that I was telling you about, that tiny thing. So we're during the pandemic. Everybody's going to die from a coronavirus. Kids must get vaccinated, they're vaccinating babies. That's all they're talking about. And Kellogg's puts out waffles where the number 1 ingredients are eggs, dairy, gluten, soy, all the stuff that feeds viral infections. Crazy. And Pop-Tarts, and you just go down. And I'm just going to go through this fast. You guys can go through on your own. But it just shows how all these so-called kids products, from Lucky Charms to have artificial ingredients, BHT, which is a preservative that's incredibly unhealthy. The strawberry Pop-Tarts have no strawberries. The Frosted Mini Wheats have no strawberries. And you can, again, they have these Gerber baby products that just are made of corn and oil and cheese and natural flavors. This is all, like, these graphics are made by the Food Babe. So there was a period, some of these graphics are mine, but now we're in the spot where they're all made by somebody else. And so, yeah, these peanut butters, like they took the real peanut butter that had the red cap, when we were eating peanut butter, and now that has a brown cap, and they call it all natural. And then they switch the ingredients in the red cap to have hydrogenated oil. Like when you put your knife through there, you come back the next day and your knife mark's still in there. Like peanut butter is supposed to like ebb and flow. So yeah, stop eating chocolate and all this poison. And then I know you guys know your ingredients and stay away from them, so you can look at this in your own time. But this is kind of like something that I use for people that are completely new. I had Heather Henson had me do a presentation. The guy had just had grandchildren, and his daughter, when they went to the house, the daughter wouldn't let him feed them anything. She would bring all her own cut organic fruits and vegetables. And I did this presentation for him. And at the end, anybody wanted to share. We thought that was going to be like the last guy on earth that would share. And he was like emotional sharing because it's the first time he understood that these conventional products that he thinks are for kids are full of poisons and just poisoning kids. And these rotisserie chickens and all this stuff is just insanity. You are what you eat, so stop eating cheap, fake, or easy. And then I just want to show you a couple of these just so you can get it through your mind of how brainwashed we actually are. But if you look at, like, if you're looking at a commercial for, you know, a McDonald's hamburger, it looks like this. But then when you get it, or not you, but when people get it, it looks like this. And how many people go back up to the register and complain and said, this is not what I ordered. This is what I ordered. Nobody, because they're like brainwashed to just have this poison shoved down their throat constantly. And we've all been there, but it's time to like change our perspective on foods and start eliminating foods that have ingredients. And they villainize, you know, the banana. People come here and say, oh my God, that banana's got too much, it's going to kill me, I can't eat papaya. But they're eating this stuff that's, you know, fake frankenfood. You can take this burger, you can set it and hide it, and you come back 5 years later and it still looks like this, because, and we've done it, because there's nothing in there that mold, yeast, bacteria, or anything wants to eat. It doesn't decompose. So here's like a little list of like what the taco looks like and what you actually get. I mean, it's just shriveled up garbage that and people eat it.